Things aren't so great right now in the land of Capcom. Monster Hunter Wilds' third major title update just dropped, and while it added a new hunt collaboration with Final Fantasy XIV, along with a lot of balance changes and fixes, they still haven't managed to implement the one thing PC gamers actually want, and that is substantial improvements to the game's PC performance. Steam reviews for the game are not good, to put it mildly. On the day the update launched, over 1,500 negative Steam reviews got posted, and to be fair, it's not absurd to want patches to address the main problem with the game. Like, the impressions of this patch have been met very negatively overall with the PC community. They're fed up, they're desperate for news about incoming fixes. At this point, it's not more content, it's fixes that people want. For Capcom's part, they have promised that technical issues will be addressed in the title update 4, launching in December, but so far the company's attempts at fixing the issues have not gone well. Some people are even saying the game is running worse after the update 3, rather than better. And I can't 100% confirm that. I turned the game on, and on my hardware, I have to say it kinda looks like it's running a little better. Not a lot, but it's not as if I can't believe it. The game's PC port has not been good. So what's the deal here? Why did this stuff not get addressed sooner? Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx we ask the question, what the hell is going on with Monster Hunter Wilds? So there's a lot of anger and negativity surrounding Monster Hunter Wilds right now, especially in the more insular fan community where honestly people are working themselves up into a toxic frenzy. But the general issues that people are having are the same ones they had day one at launch. That's the biggest problem, really. It's 8 months later, and this game still runs like garbage on a lot of PCs. And before I go any further, let me just quickly ask you to subscribe to our channel. Surprisingly, few of the people that are watching are subscribed, so this is just a quick ask. It helps us out. We hope it helps you see some stuff you want. Thank you so much for clicking subscribe. Let's get back to it. Now, Monster Hunter Wilds is hardly the only modern game to have a bad PC port. It's a serious issue that way too many games still struggle with, but the difference is this game is supposed to have a long tail. It's still getting DLC, it's got season events, limited time stuff, and also, hey, it's a frickin' Capcom game. You want to talk about PC ports that are good? Generally, Capcom is known for that. But on this one port that just dropped the ball 100%, updates are pretty plentiful. In fact, the speed of the updates have increased lately, and the updates don't address the one problem that people want addressed. Now, the game's a little controversial in terms of its streamlining, and there's some people that like that and some people that don't. But regardless of your opinion on it, the overwhelming issue people have with Wilds on PC is performance. It's like a very secondary complaint, the streamlining, compared to how bad this damn thing is running. It was bad at launch, and it is bad now. It relies far too heavily on DLSS and frame generation to make up for its own engine shortcomings. The game's director, Yuya Tokuda, wanted to make the most graphically advanced Monster Hunter game possible, and by itself, that's not a bad idea. But the decision to use their own internal RE engine to do it seems to have bit them in the ass a bit. The engine's great for Resident Evil games, which are mostly set in small enclosed locations, but Monster Hunter Wilds is a much bigger game, and the engine struggles with stuff that a lot of open world games have figured out. They figured it out by using Unreal Engine. Unless they're Bethesda, which will still run their crazy shit underneath the Unreal Engine, but whatever. Point is, Wilds is really GPU intensive, and the actual visuals that it pushes are not particularly impressive. The game is very blurry, very soft looking because of the heavy reliance on DLSS. It looks pretty washed out and kind of ugly a lot of the time because of the realistic look they wanted to go for with this one. And just to say this, that's a really interesting phenomenon considering the amount of color that has been added to the palette in Monster Hunter Wilds. Pushing graphics technology worked in Monster Hunter World, and if you remember, that game had pretty bad performance on PC at first, but that stuff did get fixed up, not over this amount of time either. It's taken Wilds a lot longer to get to this point. The game's Steam reviews were never great. It's always been sitting at mixed ever since the game launched back in February, but the recent reviews have been rancid. They're now mostly negative and they're not letting up. See, the thing is, if the thing that people are complaining about sits and festers rather than gets fixed, it appears worse and worse as time passes. that pisses people the hell off. And people have every right to be pissed off over that. It's ridiculous. Considering that the PC is not just a niche market anymore, it's actually an extremely large part of the gaming market. There's no excuse. Now, to be fair, with all the sound and fury about performance, you might be led to believe that this is a total mess that's like completely unplayable, like Arkham Knight PC, but that's not exactly the case. Wilds is more figuratively broken than actually broken. It's not unplayable. You can play this game, and it works. It's like the Dodge Neon, which, if you were in high school, when I was in high school, everyone had a Dodge Neon, and nobody liked them. It's not that they didn't work, they worked fine, they just sucked. The game has a lot of options to tweak graphical settings, but the scaling, it's pretty bad. It's one of those games that either runs fine, even decently, if you have a super sampling capable graphics card, or it doesn't run fine or decently, it runs. Trying to play this game on minimum specs, it's a waste of time. It doesn't run well, it's not good, especially for a game that Capcom expected to exceed the sales of Monster Hunter World. They had sky-high hopes for this one, but in terms of sales, it's fallen way below expectations. It did sell really well at first, 10 million copies in the first month, 8 million of those happening in the first 3 days. The next few months didn't go so hot, though, and frankly, that's a strong argument that the fact it doesn't play well is a big problem. Word of mouth on that kind of thing travels fast. Sales between April and June were just 477,000, which you want to talk about a drop-off? That's a drop-off. Now, I hear some people say things like, oh, that's just people voting with their wallets, and I would disagree. Voting with your wallet isn't about problems, like people not going to a restaurant that numerous cases of salmonella have come out of is not people voting with their wallet. In fact, people really need to start getting past this idea of voting with your wallet, because all that does is incentivize companies to find less picky audiences, which that means they make shittier games that are for people who are entirely naive to all of the shit we see them do. Get past that whole idea. It doesn't work. There's a reason why people have bought Capcom PC ports in recent years, who, again, I will repeat this, has done fantastic with PC ports. The Resident Evil 4 remake PC port, I don't even think I have to say anything about. It was really, really good. The day Capcom posted their quarterly financial reports that revealed Wild's flagging sales, their stock dropped pretty severely in a single day. People love presenting stock drops as evidence that a company is failing or crashing out, as they say nowadays. Oh, the company's on its last legs. I mean, taken together, the general PC fan base's negativity around this game looks bad, their stock dropping looks bad, so the sky must be falling, right? Thing is, that's not how stuff works. A stock drop isn't really what the company is depending on to exist. First off, if you're familiar with stonks at all, a sudden volatile drop like that is nothing but an opportunity. In some cases, you're going to have a bunch of options calls, futures sold short, and if you're a regular plain old I buy stock low and sell it high person, well, there's no better time to get in on Capcom. Their stock is leveled off. It's back up at pre-July levels. I mean, they're not the highest they've ever been, but they're trending up. But the fact is, the stock price doesn't even frickin' matter. They've been cash solvent, they're very profitable, and their profits keep going up. Just not buying a game doesn't do things. And something I really need people to get is that when I say stuff like this isn't to make the company look good or defend them. It is the result of having seen things repeatedly, cyclically, and they keep going down the same damn way. I would personally like it if we could figure out some way that the consumer matters again. Now, PR is a much bigger thing than sales in terms of what you can do, and that is why being loud is at least helpful. You just not making a choice to buy something doesn't do a lot, but if market sentiment shifts hard negative, that can have an effect. The fact is, it's on them to generate demand, and you can spend a lot of money marketing, but word of mouth is always more important. You can't throw a rose into a fart cloud and expect everything to change. And that brings us to a question. Is it possible for Capcom to turn the game around and make it as much of a success as World was? And it sucks to say this, but Probably not. Like, I don't really see it happening. From my standpoint, the game does actually seem to be in a better state right now than it has been up until now. Capcom has increased the speed of the updates and improvements they've made to the endgame, but I mean, even console players who don't have the technical issues that we have were ready to give up on the game, but at least in that space, there's been a renewed interest and some positivity from players. And let's be clear here, it's not like Monster Hunter Wilds is a dead game or anything. It's the 14th most played game on Steam right now, according to SteamDB. It's got a sizable player base, and to be clear, that's what you need. It's just that those players rightfully are not happy with Capcom's current priorities. What PC players want is substantial improvements to the game's performance, and unless that happens, then the general negativity around the game is not going anywhere. Like, it really doesn't matter what they do to the gameplay. The gameplay is not really the problem. It's controversial, but it's not really the problem. I'm sure there will be some that disagree with that, but I'm sorry, a game that not everybody likes but works, and the people that like it continually play it without complaint, is going to remain more successful than a game that's not that. The real test for the developers is upcoming, though. If the promised title update 4 doesn't fix things, or if it somehow makes things worse, which is not out of the cards, there's probably not going to be any going back from that point. Like, I am not predicting this game's downfall. I will say that I'm not confident in it. Update 4 has to fix things. The promised expansion pack is not going to be enough to save this game, which, by the way, Capcom is now rushing out to make up for the flagging sales of the main game. People have already accused Capcom of rushing Wilds out before it was done to appease shareholders and increase quarterly earnings, and now they're kind of straight up telling us that's what they're doing with the expansion. If it comes out and it's good and Capcom patches the game to drastically improve the performance on PC, it could save Wilds. I mean, everybody likes a good comeback story, but I've mentioned this at least a couple of times at this point, but it's also a controversial game that is somewhat divisive. Cyberpunk 2077 came out in a hell of a state, probably a much worse state, actually, but everyone kind of wanted what it was. The hole in the dam was the performance. Here, like I said, the main problem is the performance, but there are other little holes in the dam. Some people really just do not like that they streamlined the Monster Hunter formula, and that opinion isn't going to change because that's what the game is. It's not a system that can be reworked, it's the bedrock that's holding up the entire thing. So there isn't really a 2.0 version of Monster Hunter Wild. I mean, there could be. I'm not saying it's completely impossible, but the way the world works, I would suspect it's not going to happen. It doesn't mean the game is bad. In fact, in my opinion, the game is good, but it is divisive, and it's not maybe the best idea to make your most lucrative franchise into your most controversial. Capcom wanted to make a game that reached a wider audience, and it didn't quite work. There's nuance, but it definitely didn't go how they wanted it to. So to answer the question, what the hell's going on with Monster Hunter Wilds? I don't know, not really that much. The newest title update did bring new voices looking to air old grievances, but the actual situation with Wilds is that it's mostly the same, and that's the problem. It's been 8 months, and the game still runs poorly on most people's computers. It's a crappy PC port. Doesn't matter how nice it runs for someone out there. I'm sure there's somebody out there who's just got flawless performance and is like, oh, what do these people even mean? They're the exception. They're not the rule. I can go back and forth and talk about all the stuff in the game that they could fix. Weapon balance, making the end game more satisfying, blah, blah, blah. But the most vocal elements of the fan base want an update on when they're going to finally deal with the dog shit performance of this game. And again, that's apparently coming in December. I am skeptical. Might just be an issue with the engine. Might need to be more optimized. I don't know. I really don't know. I can't tell you. I'm not a frickin' game developer, much less one that works at Capcom and has an understanding of the inner workings of the RE engine. But with sales dropping like a stone after launch, you'd think they'd be addressing the most persistent complaint about Wilds as quickly as possible. But it's taken this long, which suggests that whatever they do have to do to fix these problems, it's it's a lot more work than we would have guessed. But then again, this is Capcom. They just tend to do their own thing. Dragon's Dogma 2 never really got fixed for PC, although I don't know if it's necessarily comparable. There's a certain expectation from Dragon's Dogma regarding performance and quirk that Monster Hunter Wilds is much too straightforward of a game to have. Street Fighter 6 players are constantly complaining about the lack of cosmetics, which, yes, the problem is they want more DLC, and Capcom has been too slow with that. Usually games have the opposite problem. Wilds certainly isn't short on DLC, but with Street Fighter 6, the lack of new costumes is telling. Seems like Capcom was not prepared for how big and voracious the fan base was going to be for that game. Kind of a quaint problem to have with Street Fighter, but it goes to show you just how unprepared Capcom really is for the modern realities of the live service elements of their games. I mean, I'm not going to say that Street Fighter or Monster Hunter are live service games. They can be played offline, and that's good. They should be like that. But these are also games that you would expect support and updates for. That definitely does cross over into the service area. And when you have that, these games require constant player investment, and like the Monster Hunter games traditionally have a pretty big PC player base. A big reason Monster Hunter World was such a big success was because Capcom launched it on PC. And people were willing to forgive that game's issues back then because really, let's talk about how much smaller the PC gaming market was at that time and how much less experience Capcom really had in that arena. But expectations are just higher now in 2025. First off, Capcom has given us great PC ports. Second off, a lot of other developers have not. And PC gamers are very accustomed to getting poorly performing games, and they're fed up. Monster Hunter Wilds is just the latest and greatest target of their ire, which is well deserved. In terms of graphics issues, and there are aplenty, the game just hasn't improved enough since launch. The latest title update, being something that doesn't really genuinely address the problem, is just the latest lightning rod for all that built-up resentment. So the big takeaway I'm going to say is if you're holding off on playing Wilds because of performance issues, keep waiting. Title Update 3 has not addressed those things. Nothing crazy has happened as far as I can see that has made the game worse, but there's also a reason that this festering resentment isn't going anywhere. It's because the issues that are causing it haven't gone anywhere. But that's my opinion. What do you think? Leave us a comment, let us know. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter, Falcon Hero. We'll see you next time right here on GameRanx.